the next time you would see me was going to be in the Panera playing Wizardry, and I misspoke. I miscalculated. Fuck this city. Fuck this town, man. Everything is shut down. Everything is shut down. This parking lot and the road approaching it are under 8 inches of snow. They didn't salt anything. They weren't even a little bit prepared. They just decided it's a Sunday. Sundays are slow commerce days. Fuck it. Everybody's going to be inside watching the NFL anyway. So, here I am, looking like a damn boy from a fucking British boy band. Uh, so what to do with Rachel's money solved itself twice without my having to think about it too hard. And I dug out the tent, so I am very warm except for my right big toe. My right big toe because my right boot has a hole on the inside where the big toe is because I let the boots freeze and put my foot in them, and I walk on the inside of that foot, and it ripped the seam. It just ripped the fabric, actually. It's not even at the seam. It just ripped straight through the fabric of the boot right there. Not even mad about it. But now I have a bunch of hours to kill. A bunch of hours to kill. Maybe an hour that my laptop will be working. 2 NFL games. Like a couple of bites left on this block of cheese. A box of bunch of crunch. And a half bag of chips. It's gonna be a day. And then there's, I guess, no guarantee that the world just picks back up and works tomorrow. I don't know. Tomorrow is a big question mark for me right now. Because if Ohio doesn't get their shit together and this continues the way it is, um, there's no way anybody's getting out and doing anything tomorrow. There's no way that Panera is open, and there's no way the bus lines are running. And if I can't leave the tent tomorrow, and I burn up all my external battery today, now we're looking at, oh boy, now we're looking at real issues. So, first place I gotta start is I gotta get the hand warmer. I gotta get my external hand warmer to at least 26%. That's where I gotta start. To start there. Hand warmer, charge cord, 8. Fuck. God damn. You fucking people, man. I swear to God, some of the people that talk to me, the way they communicate to me, they must think I'm mentally fucking retarded. That shit wears on you after a while when your mother used to call you retarded. Stupid people condescending to you like you're the problem starts to wear on you when your parents did it as a form of their abuse. You start to recognize it as a way for people with low competency to use their emotions as a hammer to beat people with. And my emotions are enough of a problem for me as it is. I don't need to manage yours too. It's gonna be a long day. No, I'm not okay, Norse. All right, the first game is at 3:30. I gotta make 2 hours. Oh, motherfucker. Womp womp. Fine breakfast. I'm actually sweaty right now. It's making me itchy. But what about breakfast at Tiffany's? But what about it? Didn't we both kind of like it? I don't know, Norse. I couldn't tell you, pal. I haven't known for, what year is it? 2026? I haven't known since 2009. I don't know. I don't know anything we got. If we've got that, I'm sure we could have other things. Like, the sex had to have been good once. You probably wouldn't have agreed to it if you didn't enjoy it. At least once. What? I'm talking about that song. I don't know breakfast. She goes, holla! I don't know if that's what those hands mean, but that's what it meant in my head. I'm open, coach. Better now, Hunter. It's gonna be a long day, though. Snowing balls. It's actually not. It's snowing ice. It's just raining ice from the sky. I know you are. I know you were. Just for anybody in the audience who thinks that I'm coming on really strong, just being an asshole. I like to do that shit and see who's paying attention. Coming down. Are you west of me? Are you west of Ohio? Breakfast? You seem to have killed a Batman. Are you closer to the lakes than I am in Ohio? We only have about 12 inches, and it's coming down, though. Yeah, I'm in a dumpster. It's coming down. Yeah, if I hadn't intervened when I did, my tent was going to collapse. So if I had left Pittsburgh, that makes a lot of sense that you've got more than we do. Yeah, you're definitely closer to the lakes and further north. You like it up there? That's fine. I didn't have to read it out loud either. You don't need everybody scrolling through to try to get your attention. I understand. I don't want... No. Heard that. I keep seeing these empty hot hands wrappers, and I'm like, until I look, it's in a it's in an uncollapsed superposition of having hot hands in it and not having hot hands in it. And when I look, it's not gonna have hot hands in it. I don't need them. Not right now. My toesies are cold, but they'll be fine. I'll be fine soon enough. Warming up my hot hand, or my hand warmer. I have plenty of battery. So I do still owe, his name's going to be gone from my mind, though. I haven't practiced it long enough. I seem like a pretty smart dude. I'm staying warm. I'm comfortable. I'm actually all sweaty. I got overwarm cleaning the ice off of my tent. Cleaning the snow off of my tent. I got all warm and sweaty. My shoe just has a hole in it. That's why my right foot is cold. And it's not even a big deal that my shoe has a hole in it. That's a artifact of the cold. Not even worried about it. I am peckish as shit, though. Just gonna sit here and eat all of my supplies right at the beginning. I think I did. I threw away my loaf of bread. I wasn't gonna eat it anymore. It tasted bad. Alright, I got 3 more sleeves of tuna, too. I got plenty of food. I got enough food in here that I'm gonna get tired of eating before I run out of food. Ooh. This is the problem I'm gonna have, is that this bottle is frozen. That's frozen all the way through. That's not drinkable. This bottle is also frozen. That's not drinkable. This bottle is fine. This bottle is frozen. That's not drinkable. No, those 3 have been frozen for days. I have a bottle and a half of good water. Those 3 have been frozen for days. I'm just being funny. I'm laughing at my circumstances. There's another frozen one. I don't want to throw them away because there's no reason to throw it away if it's just frozen. It won't be frozen forever. So throwing it away, I paid for this. Just carrying around, water in deep storage. It's just water rocks. I've been thinking a lot today about the Homo australopithecus, Homo erectus, and Homo heidelbergensis. I've been thinking about them a lot today. I don't know a lot about them, and so I was researching them and thinking about their ways of life. And that joke, the carrying around this, this is basically just a rock of water. It's not that much heavier than if it were if it were liquid. You stick that in your backpack, and you're technically toting around water. We figured out fire around 700 BCE, and one of the things we were doing with it was melting rocks. So why not melt ice? How come pottery couldn't have been an artifact of trying to figure out what to do with it, how to melt it and drink it? Why couldn't it have been? I don't know. I don't know the answer to why it couldn't have been. That doesn't mean that it was. It means I don't know. I don't know how to falsify my idea. Because I don't know what other material containers they had. I know that they had figured out bags by Erectus. Because Australopithecus, if it's carrying scab, what we've figured out recently, what got me here, is I read an article that within the last 2 years, we've figured out that the Homo sapiens, all of the species leading up to the Homo sapiens, were probably more effective scavengers than hunters. That Homo erectus and I just said it, but now it's gone. Whatever. The stage before the branch that became sapiens, Neanderthals, Denisovans, the mystery one, the Floriensis. I don't even remember what the fuck I was talking about to try to get there. I don't fully understand it, but they each used rocks in different ways. And basically what I was saying is that by the time we got to the one that I can't remember because it's some guy's name, some European guy's name I can't remember. By the time we got there, we already had bags. We'd figured out bags. And so that means that our skeleton, it was designed to carry stuff like a raccoon. So we could think of Australopithecines, people who like T-Rexes so much, Australopithecines maintain their arms in a way that T-Rexes didn't. We had these great big powerful legs, and we were good squattle runners, and we were basically like those lizards that can bicycle over water. We basically did that. We would pick up stuff like our babies or rocks, because we also built with these anvil stones that if you're only 3 feet tall, a football-sized anvil stone is your belly. And we would carry them to rivers. And we don't know what we did with them, the Australopithecines. This is like 3.5 to 4 million years ago, up until about 1 million years ago, I think. Maybe 2 million years ago. I'm still trying to learn the timelines, because it was a really long time that our ancestors, behaved in this way. But they carried these rocks, they carried their babies, and they were probably also carrying scavenge kills, because we were scavengers all the way up to Homo sapiens. Neanderthals were different because they weren't scavengers. And so by the time they were walking upright, they were already making bags, because carrying a scavenged kill, just carrying it and running away like a fucking raccoon, because they're like big raccoons. Like a raccoon's like, what, 2 feet? And humans were like 3 feet. Australopithecines were like 3 feet tall. So this is like big raccoons hugging this stuff and running like hell. The counterweight, the counterweight to do that for a quadrupedal creature to run on its back legs, it needs a huge forward counterweight in order for the back to hold right? It needs a counterweight. That's why T-Rexes look the way they do. But theropods look the way they do because the arms have nothing to do. So they have nothing, they're not there for any reason. And the idea is that they think that T-Rexes specifically evolved those tiny little stub arms, because if they were reaching out to grab scavenged kills with other T-Rexes around, the first thing to go is their little arms. And so they just evolved to not need them, probably because a lot of the adults didn't even have them. At the pre-T-Rex stage, at the stages earlier and earlier in the life form. And so we maintained our arms because they were little hugging bastards. But, for example, raccoons have never developed to a bigger body mass, and the use of these digity fingers that can do complex things, because they never started bashing fish and those animal bones for the marrow on rocks. They never added the on rocks thing. And so if you think about these little apes, like if you just think about a chimpanzee, and instead of living like a chimpanzee up in trees in the communities that chimpanzees live in, these things are the thing that broke off from the common ancestor, Australopithecines. They lived at riverbanks, they probably hunted for fish, and they probably scavenged for bigger prey animals, not bigger prey animals, bigger animals like elephants and hippos. When they die, you run over there, or you chase away the wolves, or you wait until the hyenas are done, and you just grab as much of it as you can and you run, because that's what scavengers actually do. Like when a hyena goes in and it takes a wolf's kill, it just runs in and it bites it. That's why they've got those huge necks and shoulders and bite forces. They just bite it and then run, and then what comes with them they're going to eat later. And so humans, you just run them and you grab a leg and you run like hell. Or you just snatch it out of the thing's mouth and you run like hell. Or you've already got these stones, you throw these stones, you go grab the thing and you run like hell. Because you're not going to beat a lion in a fair fight. You're 3 feet tall. And then there are wolves in Africa. There are wolves, there are leopards, there are lions, there are cheetahs, there are tigers. There are probably not tigers. There are other kinds of cats. There are big animals. I already mentioned hyenas. These are all in the area at the same time as Australopithecines, and they lived on riverbanks. They lived alongside rivers, near woods, wooded rivers, but not in the trees. That puts you at a distinct disadvantage in terms of being a primate and that specific culture of predators. So you have to be competitive. How do we know they had to be competitive? They survived to us. Yeah, the African dogs. I was working through that in my head. That's probably not where dogs came from, because dogs didn't come until about 70,000 years ago. But when we were upright, Homo erectus, maybe, we were carrying things long distance. We were running long distances for sure. And so what they think that we were doing is running long distances after gazelles until the gazelle just dropped dead. But if you look at those, they're called desert kites. If you look at the desert kite structures in the Middle East that they use to herd and eventually, what do they call it when you domesticate, when they domesticated sheep and goats, they used these great big wall structures, and they would funnel whole herds in there, and some of them would fall in pits and die, and others would just congregate at the end and wait to be captured. So you eat the ones that fall and die, and you capture and you husband the ones that don't. We know they did this. And so way in the way back, they probably made those kites out of human beings. Males were probably chasing these fucking things, these herds. They were probably herding gazelles. But the thing that you have to think about, and that I've just noticed that the people that suggest these ideas don't think about, is that a gazelle, to you and me, is fucking dangerous, man. A gazelle will gore the fuck out of you today, right now. Well, birds are dinosaurs. Birds are the surviving dinosaurs. Yeah, well, okay, so it took millions of years because they're limited by the environment, because populations hit a peak that the environment can provide them. And so this is kind of what I'm talking about with Australopithecines. They lived in this environment unchanged for millions of years. They were able to do that because they didn't need to do anything different. So Homo erectus, it was doing things differently. By the end, by the transitionary period, they were already doing something different to find food and sex. They were already doing the different thing. That's why the children look different. That's how evolution actually works. You go into an environment that's either new to you or the environment changes, and the way speciation works is that there is a big enough population of you in the environment that when one group of you starts to eat in a different way, they become a different thing. There's no going back after a certain point. This is why, like, fennec foxes and red foxes can't mate. It's not just that they're in different environments, it's that they've been in different environments for so long that the chromosomes from the base creature are no longer compatible. Those two species have different numbers of chromosomes. In humans, I don't know how to describe it. Anytime you hear a scientist talk about it, and if you ask an AI about this, it's going to make it a conscious thing. But our human DNA has a self-correcting system that doesn't allow epigenetic DNA to pass from generation to generation. Other creatures don't have this. So if your dad was big and strong, and he had, from birth until the time he had you, done things with his body that changed his material structure, changed the density of his bones, changed the neurons of his brain, those things don't pass through the chromosomes. The chromosomes go, nope, we go back to the original state of what his dad passed to him, not what he gained from being his dad. But not all DNA does that. That's an almost magical thing in human beings, that our Homo genus realized that it had locked into something that it needed to get really good at. We don't know what that something that it needed to get really good at is, but I think it was the hands and the eyes. Because Neanderthals, they gave us as much as 30% of our DNA in some human beings alive today. As much as 30% of some human beings alive today have Neanderthal DNA. And what the DNA does is it gave us these really dexterous fingers, and it gave us really good eyes. It gave us eyes that could conceive of and perceive the entire environment. But what they didn't have was our prefrontal cortex that's able to plan for the future. They didn't have that, but we did. We had that before we interbred. And so what that means, yeah, genetic drift. What that means is that Homo sapiens stayed in a place that the other Homo species after Heidelbergensis started to break up into these different species, these different sister species, subspecies, before they had speciated and can no longer interbreed, that they were living in different parts of the planet, because Erectus was able to go across the whole planet. And that has to do with the precession of the equinoxes. The precession happened every 40,000 years until about 900,000. If I'm getting the math right, it was either 1 million or 900,000. It was every other 40,000 years. And then it was every other 100,000 years for a while. And now it's back to every other 40,000 years. You go ice ages every other 40,000 years. And that's what's in the Vedas. That's weird. How would they know how long an ice age lasts? But the species Homo has survived many of them. 3 million years of every 40,000 years is a lot of ice ages. That's a lot of cyclical ice ages. And that doesn't have to be coded in our stories because we didn't start telling stories until about 11,000 BCE. So it's not coded in our stories. But it might be in our DNA somehow in a way that doesn't mean anything to modern people, but meant something to ancient peoples. Because humans before Homo sapiens also didn't have egos. Not a lucky guess. They had millions of years to trial and error it. Okay, Infinity, that doesn't address what I said, because Darwin didn't say he didn't know, and he didn't know what. There are no footprints within dinosaur footprints. Those aren't real. Those are obvious hoaxes that were created back in a time before people were scientifically literate enough to know the difference. I've seen the things you're talking about in the Creationist Museum, and they're obvious hoaxes. They aren't even made in the correct material. Well, no, Darwin did not get confirmation of his theory in his lifetime because the idea of the survival of the fittest has been disconfirmed in our lifetimes. Yeah, the mother passes on the environmental adaptive traits in the genus Homo. That's correct, Stryker. The mother passes on in situ neuronal data. The mother passes on epigenetic DNA traits. The child needs to be a blank slate to keep the mother alive in the environment as early as possible. It's not survival. Well, it's not really even survival of cooperation because bacteria don't cooperate on any level. The way that evolution works is that the things that survive continue to survive. The things that have children and that continue to have children survive and adapt to the environment. And over time, huge, incomprehensible spans of time, DNA allows for change in individual body plans and lifestyles over massive, incomprehensible spans of time. It's not what works best. It's not what works best. It's what works at all. That's how evolution works. It doesn't choose for much. It selects for what won't work, usually, or what hasn't worked. Sure, neutrinos don't interact with matter. Hi, Harmony. I don't know what that means, John, but thank you. High key relatable sounds like a compliment, so thank you for saying it, but I don't know what you mean. Neutrinos don't interact with matter, so neutrinos don't affect DNA. DNA is material. DNA isn't a quantum effect. Oh, I don't know what that means, John. I guess. I didn't see it. What have I done with my snitch? Well, no, you didn't say that Darwin knew that evolution happens and that he got confirmation of evolution. You said that Darwin got confirmation of his theory, and his theory that the survival of the fittest has, in fact, been disconfirmed. He did not get confirmation of the survival of the fittest in his lifetime. We have moved beyond Darwinian evolution to non-Darwinian evolution. I've already covered that. You don't need to believe science. You don't need to believe that electrons behave differently when they're observed than when they're not observed. You don't need to believe that. Science isn't a faith proposition. It's not a belief proposition. A plus B equal, or A squared plus B squared equals C squared, whether you believe it or not. Survival of the fittest was Darwin. Everybody knows that. And whether the term was coined by him or not, that was his theory. And I'm not here to argue with you, Jack. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. It can't reflect off of all of Earth's matter because it's not shining on all of Earth's matter at once. But there's evidence of evolution that you think you can speak to me, Henry. You're just a stupid person. It's not my fault that you are a Homo erectus and I am a Homo sapien. It's not my fault that you are a pre-symbolic thinker. It's not my fault that you thought that good enough was good enough for so long that you're no longer good enough. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't stagnate until I was useless. Good to see you too, Striker. It's more appropriate to say, Striker, that the sun and the planet and everything else in the solar system are made of the same material from the sun that blew up to make them, to form the space that we occupy. But that was so long ago, it's inconceivable. No, this Earth is entirely fashioned by the supernova that blow up to allow for the space that this solar system occupies. The sun is a product of the same thing that created the system that orbits around it. The sun was just a larger globe, a larger globule of ejecta from that original supernova. The original, much larger, more massive, and more energetic sun earlier in the universe. We are just ejecta. Inconceivable means that it is literally something that you cannot hold in your mind. Hey, T-Rex. Sure. But our material wasn't created by the sun. The sun is an effect of the same process that made us. We aren't dependent on the sun any more than we're dependent on, I don't know, some distant galaxy, some distant nebula. The sun is also an effect. No, I wasn't referencing in The Princess Bride, but you are. Sure, but no more and no less than from some distant nebula. Maybe, no mercy. Again, the Goldilocks region thing, that's an effect. And it might require that many chain reactions. It might require a sun this small. If it requires a sun this small, then everything that we are is an effect of the first supernova that blew up in the nascent universe. The first supernova that formed, the first supernova that exploded. We're, exactly like Genesis says, all results of the initial burst of information that allowed the universe to be in the first place. And with that comes a responsibility to keep the universe moving and full of life. James Webb hasn't proved we don't know anything at all. James Webb is not a proof. James Webb, you can't prove. First of all, proof is mathematics. And James Webb is a data collection tool. A data collection tool. It's a data collection apparatus. It doesn't prove anything. Well, we might be the face of our progenitor. If you think about it, your face is literally a mashup of your parents' faces. They are your progenitors. Again, your likeness is this. Your likeness isn't your similitude. Your likeness is your actual features. Why are galaxies so unadvanced? Well, religion is about your binding to a particular ideal, your particular concept. I'm fine, Seth. It's starting to get cold, but I could put my hoods back on and get warm again. I could get active. I have enough calories in my belly to burn a little bit. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to save that until I feel like beating off later. Now we get to decide whether I meant that or not. Hi, Sari. I actually don't know how to read that, so I'm just going to... We're not looking at a different universe, and we know plenty about it. You just don't understand what you have been taught, no. Or you've been taught to be defeatist about what we can know so that you don't reach to higher learning, so that you stay in your tiny cult. I'm not going to call you that, Sari. I'm not calling you that. If you wanted to be called that, you would go by that. You're the one who came up with that nonsense. No, the town is completely shut down, T-Rex. Yeah, you don't understand. If you understood, you would be on this side of the camera. I don't understand why you guys don't understand that. I don't understand how that's not intuitive. I don't think it sucks. I don't like being in Panera. I don't particularly enjoy being in Panera. I would prefer to be here. I like it here. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't like your home. No. My understanding of physics and a unified field theory of everything have absolutely nothing to do with whether I choose to live in a house or not. In fact, the people who came to these original understandings that led to the people who lived in houses making a profession at claiming to understand didn't live in houses. Yeah, you're right. I don't know shit. No more than you do. You can't even understand the abstraction of being in front of a live camera. You don't get to talk to me anymore. You don't get to speak to me. You're too dumb. Well, no, that's probably not your likeness. Your likeness is your features. It's a poetic way of saying that you're just a combination of the people who came immediately before you. They're a combination of the people who came immediately before them. But you're not a result of what they did except copulation. Maybe T-Rex. There are a lot of people who want to just tell me I'm wrong, a priori. I wouldn't call that intellectual. I would call that being a little baby boy in mommy's pants. Yeah, I'm talking about you. No 4MK. Just a little baby boy wearing your mommy's pants. It is coming down, though. I've already got serious accumulation. I'm going to have to get out and knock it off again before the day's over, before I go to bed. Well, sure, your kids aren't really your ancestors. Your kids are your future, though. And so if you treat them with the same dignity that you would treat a deceased grandparent, you're treating the future with the same dignity that you treated your living grandparents. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I never feel like if we're going to try to talk about this, that we need to talk about it in words that a third grader couldn't understand. But if you need to understand it in words that would make a college professor cringe, progeny, Jenny here being creation, progeny being forward, the things that you make in the future, the things that you make that have a lifespan ahead of yours, your progeny or your children. It's another way of saying children. That's actually what I was talking earlier, Straker, about how Confucius and filial piety are wrong. Drift your genetic canoe. Yeah, see, you use these damn you use damn poetic license in a way that makes you hard to understand. Oh, fuck. That was a mistake. Nah, the genetic canoe it's just a poetic way, it's a metaphorical way of describing that we're passengers, time and space and this biological existence or a river, and that our existence is, for some people, they need this proven, demonstrated by the fact that we have children, that our DNA continues. Some people need this. Americans don't like to hear that because American women like to have sex with men they don't like. Crunch and munch, huh? Probably you oversold on the peanuts, guys. Why the fuck would I want a propane tank? Propane tank's gonna set my shit on fire. Idiots. This is why I keep thinking about if you've got a rock, you got a little bit of pitch blende. It's radioactive to us. We're going, that's radioactive, don't do. And if you've got this size block of pitch blende, and if you do this to it against flint, it gets hot to the touch. That's all you need to survive an ice age. Add that to the skins they already had, the hunting techniques they already had, and all you need at night is a rock that you can do that with, and it gets hot to the touch. You don't need to be sweating warm. You don't need to sleep naked. You don't want to. All you need are some good blankets, good shoes, and a rock that you can put in your pants. Keep your balls from freezing. Because you've got these blood veins that go down your legs. And if those blood veins coming up and down from your feet, to and from your feet, are hot to the touch from this rock, you survive. You don't need to be comfortable at night. You just need to survive it. The need? What do you mean, what need? What need, T-Rex? What need? What do you mean? The only thing our DNA wants us to do, the only thing our DNA needs us to do, is survive long enough to have children. And then it doesn't care what we do. Because it's not going to pass anything we do on. And so until the end of the most recent ice age, until about 11,000, 13,000 years ago, something like that, the entire homogeneous, the entire genus Homo, only lived long enough to have a couple of kids. $7,000 years ago, 700,000 years ago, 700,000 years ago, Heidelbergensis shrunk down to only about 1,300 members of the species. So humans almost didn't happen. Early childhood education used to end at 6. We don't begin it till 6. It's like you want to have food. It's different from men because the thing isn't attached to us for 10 years, 12 years. It's like men used to joke about really only wanting 3 things. Well, 4 things. Right? Shelter, food, 3 things. Shelter, food, sex. Work is secondary to get the first 3. It's been that way for a very long time. You couldn't get sex as a Neanderthal male if you couldn't make stone tools and participate in the hunt. You just didn't get sex. How do we know this? Because Neanderthal males had a uniform body plan. Look out in the world today and you see a bunch of Homo sapiens with different body plans, and you might go, oh, fantasy races. He's a Neanderthal. He's a Denisovan. He's a Heidelbergensis. No. No. Humans have so many different body plans because so many different body plans were allowed to become the king of a tribe. The body plan becomes static when every woman in the tribe is having sex with the same dude. Look at Genghis Khan. It's like the need to eat. That's why that's all the Mahabharata is about. The Mahabharata is a book that claims to contain every possible human story, and it's just one story about men being allowed to get sex. and women having a man who's going to provide the food necessary to feed the child. AOPM. Yeah, the Patriots need to not lose to Jarrett Stidham tonight. It's going to look silly that they walked away from him if he goes to a Super Bowl before they return without Tom Brady. It's going to make them look real bad. It's going to be a real bad look. You had him in the building. Everybody's talking about how, the Patriots are so lucky they get this nobody at quarterback, and it's like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Bo Nix was bad at football for 3 quarters, and then he turned it on in the 4th quarter. I don't know what to expect tonight. Okay. I understand, T-Rex. Be well, buddy. Right. And Nick Foles has been quick to remind the world of that. Yeah. Anything can happen any given Sunday. But yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a total blowout. 40-point nightmare for the Broncos. But the Patriots are also, by typical NFL thinking, they're also there 2 years early. And the Broncos, Sean Payton has put in his time, right? It's year 3. It's going to be a good one no matter what happens. The drama is going to be so worth it. And the Patriots, yeah, they don't. Unless they're playing Tim Tebow. That season. The Steelers getting bounced was one thing. But thinking that he was going to do anything to the Patriots that year was hilarious. That was probably in New England, but still. So I don't know what to expect from Jarrett Stidham. He played well when he was with the Raiders, but they're a dumpster fire, so who really knows what that means? Everybody keeps talking about Matthew Stafford's legacy and whether he is or isn't a Hall of Famer. This makes him a Hall of Famer for sure. It kind of kills the argument if he wins another Super Bowl. But I got a feeling the Seahawks are going to put an absolute shit kicking on them. That's the game I want to watch. That game has a chance to be an absolute barnstormer, an absolute all-time classic. Those teams match up so well. And they're a division rival. Now, every game has a chance to be an all-time classic, and every game has a chance to be an absolute snooze fest. So I'm not saying anything, but I have a feeling this one's going to be really good. These teams, the Seahawks and the Rams, institutionally, they haven't liked each other back when they weren't good. Back 2008 and earlier, they didn't like each other. These teams they don't like each other. McVay has always struggled with the Seahawks. There's enough institutional memory there that this should just be an absolutely killer game. Literally cannot wait. I'm sitting here like, what if I set an alarm and took a nap for 2 hours? I'll be able to stay warm. I'm not going to do that. But I was thinking it. Because now that I've had something to eat, and my tummy is full of calories, lovely sugar calories that it's going to take forever to burn on, I kind of want to just take a nap. I got nothing to do, and I got to be careful not to burn up my batteries, because there's a chance that tomorrow is also shut down and the world doesn't open back up for the next day. Yeah, 90 minutes. Yep. That's why I'm not going to go to bed, or go to take a nap, because I know I won't wake up. I'll sleep through it, and then I'll be so upset. Like, I was so mad. Last week, I didn't get to watch the Bills game. For whatever reason, it wasn't televised in my area, so I didn't get to watch it. And I haven't gone back to rewatch it because fuck you, NFL, for not letting me watch it. And I haven't talked myself into it yet. I haven't talked myself into going back and watching it, and I'm not gonna now. Not if watching it to see Bo Nix in his most recent game doesn't mean anything, because he's not playing in this one. This game could get absolutely out of control very quickly in the Patriots' favor. The Broncos gave up 30 on the Bills, and the Patriots are better. They could go completely sideways very quickly. Especially if Stidham wants to come out and start throwing picks. Did not mean to pull you out from back there. Ugh. Yep, I think me too, OPM. I think I'm going to take a break. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I wanted to let you know why I'm not going to be in Panera. Yeah, the cold is starting to creep in on me. My body's like, hey, maybe we could bundle up. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're right about that. So I think I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to catch you guys later, too. Thank you for hanging out with me. Be well. Take care. All that. You'll see me again.